Into Facebook correctly. Yep, there we are. I can see your pretty face, Francis. I've got two of you now.
Crazy. It's crazy. It's Wednesday night. The one
Let's
and
go.
only Wayne's World Wednesday coming at you live on
We're not
Facebook.
worthy. We're not worthy.
I'm definitely not worthy. I'm definitely not worthy. So Wayne, what have you got going on these days?
Oh, Jesus, what haven't I got going on? Yeah, so like day to day, my boiler business.
Oh. Wait. Unmute.
There we go. Technical glitch. Technical glitch.
Sorry.
Even Francis, the tech guru, gets it wrong, eh? Well, looks like we've got a few people on, which is good. So hopefully we'll get some questions as we go along. Yeah, basically the whole point of these Wayne's World Wednesdays are to just have a bit of a chat. I'm going to be sharing some stuff that I'm up to, Francis doing the same. And most importantly, we want to be hearing from you guys watching, because we're here to help. We want to go through things that maybe you're struggling with. Also, we want to hear about some stuff that you're winning at. You know, I'm a positive guy, and you know, a lot of positivity is very important to me. So if you've got a win to share, no matter how little, post it in. Let's celebrate together as well as try and fix the problems. It's not all about putting fires out and things like that. So back to your first question. I'm going to share a win. I'm going to brag. I'm very proud of myself this year. A lot of hard work went into preparing for this year. We sort of revamped my company, started to basically, I honed in on everything that I've been learning and developing, and we basically went at it this year. So it was a new company, new name. We went after it, and we ever so close to hitting my very audacious goal. I think they're called BHAGs, aren't they? Big, hairy, audacious goals, which was 150 boilers. Bearing in mind, I'm only a small business, whereas there's only 3 or 4 of us in the business. And I got my daughter recently to write me a chart numbered with how many left I had to sell to hit this target. And I've got 20 more boilers to sell between now and at the end of the year, and I will have hit my massive target that I was aiming for. So yeah, it's there. Like I say, I'm going to share that. I'm proud of it. I'm going to celebrate that as well. When I smash through it, then I'm going to reward myself and enjoy that moment, definitely.
Now, how are you going to reward yourself?
So, you know, I'm a firm believer in rewarding yourself. So the way I run everything is over 3-month periods. So at the end of these periods, I'm used to celebrating. It might just be a bottle of champagne. It might be a nice meal. But this one, because it's going to be a big win, I've already bought the celebration. So I've got to make it work. So I've got a lovely week away in Cornwall between Christmas and New Year. Well, actually we're there for New Year. So hopefully I'll be heading down to Cornwall for a relaxing week, celebrating the fact that I hit the big target that I had set. If not, I'm still going to enjoy my week anyway.
Rewards are really important, aren't they? You know, it's not all about hustling and struggling and working. You gotta just pat yourself on the back from time to time, you know?
Definitely. And one thing I've learned, there's not many people that are going to pat your back for you. So
your wife
having the capacity to be proud of yourself is important. So but the further down my journey I'm going, the people I'm surrounding myself with, I'm getting more pats on the back from other people as well, which is lovely. So
that's cool. Okay, for everybody on this Zoom call, I'm going to moderate. We're going to choose questions and filter through so we have a semblance of order here. Like I said, this is a lot more fun and a lot more deep and personal if everybody can turn their cameras on. Nathan, thank you. We see you there. Thank you for coming back.
Hello.
And kudos for turning your camera on. So actually, we got one more camera. We got Thomas.
Got Thomas on.
Line.
Excellent.
We got Stephen on the line, and we got a bit of Michael Guder, a little bit. We got a black box, but I can sort of sense Michael Guder there. So feel free to interject. Put your questions in the chat. Carolina, the Lone Ranger female, is here also to help these things.
We've also got Bex. We've also got another lady on the Facebook group. Bex is on as well. She's watching, so big shout out to her too.
Why doesn't Bex get on the Zoom call? And actually, we can have a little more female presence here because Carolina's feeling very male-dominated at the moment.
There we go, Bex. The gauntlet's been laid. Let's get you on camera. I'm actually interviewing Bex for the podcast tomorrow, actually.
Yeah,
so,
I heard.
She's got a lot to offer everyone in the group. So it's going to be fantastic to get some insights from her perspective on anyway, we're not talking about that because that's its own show. So I don't want to spoil that one.
Don't spoil the fun. Okay, sounds good. So where are we at now? What have we talked about what you've been up to, but from a business perspective, what was your next challenge that you can share? Some hurdles that you had to overcome?
Oh, my days. If you can hear me, my internet...
Yeah.
Francis, you have just totally frozen them, my friend. Sorry.
Okay, but
for me, sorry. Could you repeat that question?
Okay, am I back?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I was going to say, to get us going down the business growth route, what are some challenges that you had to overcome this week in your business?
Right. So is that directed at everybody? Yeah.
Well, let's start with you, Wayne, and then it would be great to have a group conversation. Okay, Nathan's got a comment. So why don't you kick us off, and we'll go to Nathan wants to say something.
Okay. So the biggest thing for me this week was I had fallen back into a few bad habits with my scheduling of what I've got to do every day. The last few weeks, I'd fallen into a little bit more chaotic running day to day. So this week, I really doubled down so far, and I've scheduled everything out into my diary. So to basically reinforce that sort of structure that I know I need. I know it works because when I structure things, I get stuff done. It really is as simple as that. And that was one of the hurdles that I had noticed that I had slipped a little bit, and I just needed to readjust. And I seem to have got a handle back on that. This week's going a lot smoother. I'm making a lot more progress. As you know, Francis, I have a lot going on in different aspects of stuff that I do. So that if I'm not organized, stuff just doesn't happen. It just gets crazy. And so that's been definitely the biggest challenge. And it was basically, I think I mentioned this phrase last time, and I love it. I absolutely love it, is that you fall to the level of your training. So, I got the knowledge, and when things aren't going right, I just hit that baseline of where I've educated myself to be. Mm-hmm. So,
how do you know when things are not right?
Three things I would say. So personal thing, but I suffer from psoriasis, which is a skin disorder. And when that starts to flare up, that's an indication that I'm either eating the wrong shit, or I'm getting a bit stressed and not managing that well. And currently at the moment, my face is a little bit red and stuff, which is my stuff flaring up, which is one of the, it's a pro now. Now I know how it works. It actually acts as a warning sign for me. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely one giveaway where I notice when that's flaring up, that it means that something's not aligned, something's not happening. Also, my targets don't get hit. That's because I'm not focused on specific tasks at specific times of the day. it just that there's an early, I constantly look back at what I've done week by week, day by day, and if there's things on the list that have been on the list for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that's again, it's another sort of warning light that says, you know, something's not working, it's not happening. And then also any of you guys that are married or live with a partner, you get to know when maybe you're not quite present enough and things like that. So again, that's another early warning sign for me to readjust and focus on what needs to be done.
Oh yeah. Nathan, how you doing? Why don't you unmute yourself? You wanted to share a challenge this week that you've overcome?
Yeah, it's not a case of a challenge we've overcome. The last kind of like week and a half, 2 weeks have been very stressful. My wife's dad died at the weekend.
Sorry to hear that.
It's been over the last 2 weeks, it's been, I've having calls out, I haven't been able to concentrate on the business and set targets because I'm getting phone calls at whatever time. That's not a complaint, by the way, sorry. My wife comes first. But we haven't really been able to stick to anything. And then the news today is that, because I'm in South Yorkshire, we're going into lockdown again. Woo. So, as I say, it's not necessarily about what I've achieved this last week, but it's kind of like I've had phone calls today where jobs have been cancelled. We're pricing up a few jobs at the minute, but I remember when the beginning when lockdown happened, it was right. I need to reevaluate the business, and I mentioned it last time where excuse me, put things in place and started to get ahead of things, got on my invoicing sorted out, quoting sorted out, and all that stuff. But now we're going into lockdown again, and it's okay. We're going to still be doing emergencies, gas, water pouring through a ceiling or things like that. But as it goes for just doing, you know, the bathrooms or the boilers, we're a bit stuck at the moment. And we've no idea how long it's going to last.
Is there a way that you can stand out right now? So compared to everybody else that's around you in the industry, could you do something like when we went into the national lockdown, the first thing I did was record a video and get it shared across all of my social medias, basically reassuring, giving some reassurance to customers and potential customers that yes, we know the shit's hit the fan, but we're taking X, Y, Z precautions, you know, and really use it as a beacon to look what this guy is doing. You know, I haven't seen anyone else do that.
Well, I did that a little bit during lockdown last time because we were still going out on emergencies. And on social media platforms, I was kind of like taking pictures with the hand sanitizer, spraying down the board, you know, where you were touching and everything. So that is something, yes, I've just made another note of that because that's what we were doing, we've done before. We've also kind of like, maybe I'm going to put out a kind of like I don't know. Yeah, well, it is a list, but of kind of like what we will do as a company to keep our customers safe and ourselves safe when we come in. So there will be masks, there will be gloves, there will be hand sanitizer.
From experience on that, making a PDF or a document is good. Yeah, not getting away from that. But if you can get yourself, your face in front of them on a video, you could email it to them, you could put it on your social media. People resonate when they can hear your voice and they can see the person behind it. So I would definitely recommend leveraging that. You know, I always look for the opportunities in situations and like it comes back to what sort of systems and stuff that you're running. But when the first lockdown happened back in March, the video that I made was also emailed to my entire customer list. So not, you know, I'm not saying everyone watched it, but I did everything that I could do to give that reassurance to my customers that we can look after them still in these uncertain times. So I would definitely recommend the video option.
But that's a good point in looking at. But and also kind of like just thinking today, because it did it come out yesterday or today? I can't remember. But then it's also another thing is, right, this is another time. Not that I would want it. I'd rather be working, but with things taking that little dip, this is another time to kind of like a next step in having that little bit of time to be able to think to yourselves, right, what is our next stage and where am I going? To be able to start putting into place a little bit like you were talking about your 3-month targets. So, right, as I say, I'm only a one-man band. What's my next 3 months target? 3-month target. I was speaking to somebody. I'd been to look at a job yesterday actually, and I was talking to him, and he was talking. I'm going to a BMI group. I've been invited to a BMI. Is it BNI? Can't remember which BNI or BMI. And I'm
BNI, but yeah. And is that something new? Is that something new for you?
It is, but I've done a little bit. I've spoken to quite a few people who have been involved with them, and I've never heard anything negative about them. I don't know if anybody else.
I think it's like anything. It's as good as you're willing to make it. It goes with any marketing that you do, you know, and it is BNI is just an effectively a strategy of marketing, because you're networking and it's you'll get out of it whatever you put in. If you give 100% to it, you know, you're gonna get results. If you buy into the ethoses, the processes that they have. For me personally, I didn't personally like it. I couldn't commit to it, so I didn't have much success. But that wasn't down to the group. That was down to me not really fully jumping into it. So if you're gonna invest the time and money, then you've got to commit yourself to making the results happen. And at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. No one else is going to just keep giving you the leads at these meetings for nothing. You've got to go out and you've got to find leads for these other people. You've got to really, really put the effort in, and then you can start reaping the rewards from the networking structure that they have.
That's exactly right.
If I may also interject from a marketing perspective. Now, what has happened in the world? Okay. In the past 10, 20 years or so, we were all operating in a buoyant market. Okay, it was normal. And you would only have to do normal things in your business. And what happened is that many businesses got complacent. Okay, in terms of, you know, business is good, it will always be good. I don't need more customers. I don't need systems. Everything is fine, right? But just because it's fine today doesn't mean it will be fine tomorrow. And now what a crisis does, the pandemic has done, it's actually separated the businesses that have not focused on, you know, advertising systems, identity, growing their customer list, sending out aggressively. It's unfortunately that's the sad reality. Business is business, and the thing is that there is a lot of business out there, pandemic or no pandemic. There are companies that just can't take any more business. They're absolutely full. And so therein lies the question is like, what's the difference between a company that has business up to its eyeballs and just can't cope anymore, and others, you know, smaller businesses, or not even smaller, just other businesses that are just struggling a little bit more? And the thing is that this is a massive wake-up call and an opportunity to relook at one's objectives, what you want in life, where you want the business to go. And we all need to pivot, not just trades businesses, but this pandemic is wiping out industry after industry, left and right, businesses that were thriving for 10, 20 years. And so it's not going to show any mercy. And that's the sad reality. And we all need to be very innovative right now. I hear companies that don't believe in marketing, or they don't believe in digital advertising, or they're not ready to systematize, they're not ready to build a list. Fine, be that way. Other companies are going to come and basically dominate and eat your lunch. So what I'm saying is that this is also an opportunity to look at your business, when in the time of lockdown, where perhaps can't be as active as you were, to actually look at take a step back from the tools, look at what you want in life, look at how you're running your business, look at, speak to Wayne, speak to me, and actually take some steps in the right, I'm not saying a right or wrong direction, but in a direction that you want to go. Nathan?
That's where it's probably a little bit in scared because I have never in the past gone on and looked at kind of like digital marketing, Facebook ads and stuff like that. That's where I'm scared to go because I don't understand it. That's the difficulty. You get all these things coming up on Facebook, on social media, join this, join that. I can, free leads and everything like that. And you're just there and looking at it and going, I ain't got a fucking clue. And that's the bit then where not necessarily struggling. Well, yeah, struggling with because I don't have a clue on that that side of it.
Nathan, you don't have to do it all yourself. That's the really important learning point here is, do you think Pimlico Plumbers run what's his name, Charlie? Do you think Mullins. He runs his own ads? No, none of these businesses run their own marketing or run their own ads. They rely on other people, large and small.
I find it's this sole trader curse is that you're so used to relying on these. You're so used to relying on your own two hands and what you do each day that it's it takes quite a leap of faith to sort of trust somebody and to put that money on the table to try and move things forward. But you sort of
you get stuck between the devil and a hard place because it's like, well, do I do that? Do I do that? Do I do that? They're telling me this.
And the problem with that position is when you're stuck there, nothing's happening, and if nothing's changing, if nothing's improving, you're actually going backwards because everything else around you is developing and growing and changing. So it's not a matter of not doing it. By not doing it, you're actually sort of reducing what you have and what you do because everything else around you is growing. It's procrastination, and it's the killer of many dreams, unfortunately.
Bex, I think Bex, you want to say something? Why don't you unmute yourself? Thank you for sharing, Nathan. Okay? We can come back to you.
Oh, hopefully you can hear me. If you can hear me, Nathan, I'm not into the plumbing or the heating industry. However, as a virtual assistant, I'm facing the same things within my own business. I hate social media. I don't know what to do. And you can get people behind you really cheaply that can do that stuff. So there are virtual assistants out there that do specialize in things like social media marketing, SEO and that kind of thing. And for the fraction of that cost, the leads that then come in and the more work you get from it is amazing. So.
Yeah. And marketing though is also, it's a long-term investment, right? It's not, it's not a silver bullet. It's never going to solve your problems overnight. But it's not something you can ignore. It's like as important as knocking on doors these days. It's a part of everything you do, and it's your marketing mix. Okay, if people can't find you on Google, you don't exist. If you're not running ads, they're going to go to your competitors first. If you're not on Google My Business, or you don't have a fast website, Google won't serve your brand, your business efficiently, rank you. So the thing is, like, where does a business want to be? What are they going to do to actually thrive in the modern world? And that's actually what we teach here, me and Wayne, is actually, it's not just running a business. And like, what does getting off the tools mean anyway? It means resources, systems, leveraging people, leveraging your time. That's because if you're on the tools and doing everything yourself, there's no way to get off the tools. And so from a mindset perspective, it's essential to like release. Yeah.
On that point, Francis, following last week's live stream, a few lads reached out and they booked discovery calls with me, and one of the biggest things that I got from them calls, I spent, I think I had about six discovery calls, I think it was in total. And basically what the idea of them is that we basically find out what the struggle is. And one common denominator was that it was like lack of accountability. So when you're your own boss, you lose all of that structure that when you worked at a company you had. When you worked at a company, you had a start time, you had a finish time, you had expectations that had to be done, or your managers or your supervisors would pull you in. When you come out and work for yourself, you're basically, you all them fences, all them barriers disappear. And yes, you have all this freedom, but the freedom itself suffocates you because you've got too much space, you've got too much flexibility. And it's in this industry specifically, it's quite easy to make a bit of money, every now and then. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to have a constant workflow to pay your bills and to get by, which is great from an aspect of survival. Of course it is. But from an aspect of building a business, it gives us like false, what's the word I'm looking for? False highs, because you might do a good couple of weeks and earn some nice readies and have that in the bank, but you're not developing your business because the next couple of weeks you might be quiet, and in your head you're thinking, it don't matter, I've had a good few weeks. But that freedom and that relaxed attitude that most sole traders will run under actually hurts them. The hardest thing I find is in being my own boss is keeping the structure, because if I want to grow and I want to grow my business, my personal, everything else that I do, then there has to be structure to allow me to climb that ladder, because otherwise it's just going to fall to shit around me each and every time. So yeah, in essence, what I'm saying is sometimes having too much freedom is a curse, and you have to be a bit stricter on yourself and on your personal habits, your daily habits and your routines that you do, to ensure that you don't give yourself too much leeway.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Any questions from the Facebook group or anyone here?
I'm just going to quickly look down, so I'm not being rude. I'm just having a look to see if anyone's commenting.
Okay.
Hello, everyone, by the way. I haven't actually said hello to all the other people that joined, so thank you for taking the time out to come and see. Well, I think it's not my ugly face that you're watching, but
that's why I would come anyway for.
Hey, Andrew.
Right.
Hat or no hat? Look at the light. Look at the light reflecting off that. Come on, the camera's reversed. Jesus, man. I'm sweating in here as well because having this hat on and a jumper, it's like, whoa. If I take it off, I just rebound the light everywhere.
Basically,
Have we got any questions? Oh, yeah. So.
I've got my own electrical company. When I started, I thought, stuff it. It'll either be a success or I'll fall on my face. There's no big deal one way or the other. I'll hurt my feelings or I'll make some cash. Then I thought, my customers are my business cards. So I make sure they have I take the crap out of them, I laugh with them, give them a good service, be honest with them. And so far, I've never been without work. Because I get bored all the time, I go and do different courses and expand the business sideways. So now I'm training to be a fire risk assessor.
Right.
But that goes in hand with my electrical inspections and everything else. Now, when your man's on about BNI, you've got it bang on. It's not what you can get out of it. You've got to give people. You constantly give them. Then they feel obliged to keep giving you back again. So you end up with more. It's just, it's part of the game we're in.
Yeah, and that idea, that philosophy works in everything. Do you know, whatever it is, the more if you give stuff, you generally the universe, whatever you want to call it, starts to bring that back. Do you know, for the simplest way to explain that is walk down the street and smile at someone, because 99% of the time, the minute you give a smile, you get one back. It depends, maybe not so in London, you might get a runaway or something, but in general, if you give, you get back, and if you sort of instill that in everything that you do, I believe it brings success and rewards, really, as long as it comes from a genuine position, of course.
That comes back to a personal thing, though, about the giving of yourself. It's not about take. The more you can give, actually, I think, in a personal sense, and your own mind, spiritual, whatever, however you want to put it, it does make you feel better. We digress a little on that, but yeah.
I joined BNI, cost me just under £1,000. I got my money back 4 days later.
You got results straight away, did you?
Yeah. 8 weeks now.
What size business are you?
Me.
Just you, yeah?
Yeah.
And is that where you want to be? Are you happy, or are you looking to push that further as time goes on, or?
I've trained 10 people up and I've never liked it. So now I'll be fair to stick to myself, because that way I can control things. Yeah.
A lot of people do that. So would you say then it's a lifestyle business, as in you want to do the work yourself to create the lifestyle that you personally want?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you doing to sort of maximize, double down on? Like, are you charging more than you could in the area? Are you, because one way to get that lifestyle is by charging more for what you do, to free up some more time to live the life that you want to live? Or do you love work?
If I go to your house and I see there's nothing wrong, I don't give you a charge.
Yep.
I only charge for what I think needs to be done.
Yep.
And that, for some reason, brings me a lot of work. Because the customers, we can go on about marketing, but word of mouth will always outstrip marketing. People buy off people.
Yeah, I would agree, but I would also disagree. So I would agree for what you've just told me about, that you're happy to be a one-man company. Word of mouth, yes, it can sustain you. It can fulfill everything that you need. If you want to start growing and taking staff on, or being able to charge more than the average for your services, that's where I disagree with the statement that word of mouth is what you need. So it really depends on the individual to what it is that they actually are aiming for.
We get a lot of work through all of our work through word of mouth, pretty much for years, consistent as well. And I find that a lot of the better customers, they would recommend you to people that were the same ilk, so you get the same people over and over again. When I advertised, it was like, it's like going fishing and catching 10 dogfish and 1 tuna. You know, you'd always get more bad customers through the advertising. But then I think, like what you said last week about sending your sort of flyers and stuff to certain areas, if you need to send it where you want to work, as opposed to sending out just to get work. Because all of a sudden you end up with all the kinds of stuff that you don't want to have. But I think for a one-man band, yeah, word of mouth is enough to get you by. But when you get bigger, you've got to market yourself to the right people to keep the right kind of work. Otherwise, one day you're doing a really good job, you're making money. The next day you're losing money on something you don't want to be doing.
Not everyone's pound note, £10 note, whatever it is, equal. And I understand. And what I mean by that is taking on work for taking on work's sake isn't a good idea. You know, because you're not serving the people that you want to serve or that deserve the level of service that you want to bring to the table. Just out of curiosity, Thomas, what business? Where are you at? What stage are you at?
So we're a plumbing firm. I've been with the business for nearly 18 years now. I worked for it till 2012. From 2003, then I took over. So there's only 2 or 3 of us. I got up to about 12, too much. Got rid of 4, back to 8, and that's much more manageable. But the good lads, you know. But now we're trying to market ourselves to a higher end. Basically because the sort of level that we're in, the competition, you know, my lads are really good, and there they are, and we get a lot of good comments. But unfortunately, we're in a tier, the word of the week, for you guys in the UK. But we're in a tier of people that are only going to pay a certain amount, and I feel that my lads are better. So now I have to market myself higher to get the work that we want. And I think that we deserve. But my thing now is I really want to instill some quality control, because the lads are good, but I want to give them a structure that they can stick to, and it makes their life a bit easier. And then I'm not running around like I need a helicopter at the minute to get everywhere that I need to get to, and to keep everyone happy. And I think if we can use some technology to manage things better, we're still all paper trail and stuff, you know. So we're a bit in the dark ages.
Are you not utilizing any software at the moment?
I use QuickBooks for the admin to do all the invoicing and stuff, and I use Trimble to do all my price work. So I'm confident that my jobs are priced right, but I don't have any way really of tracking how much time is spent on a job. So like say I price a job as 100 hours.
How are you sending work out to your guys?
WhatsApp groups.
Really? Yeah. And you've got, did you say 8? There's 8 of you in the business now.
Yeah, well, there's 8 lads that work for me. They've got a secretary and myself, so there's 10 of us overall.
Wow, you must be expending a lot of time, I would guess. Yeah,
loads of time.
Are you working
lots of
12,
time,
14 hours days? That sounds like to me minimum.
Oh yeah, there's always stuff going on. I don't mind that. You know, it's more so that where you double up on time on things, or people calling you for things that are pretty damn obvious. It's in front of them, but it would be better to have a track of that, to say, right, I like the idea. I've looked at loads of different apps. I just want something simple where you can input each job. So if it's a house with 5 bathrooms, a boiler and an underfloor heating system and a cylinder, and you can just have a tab and say, this is up to this stage, this is up to this stage. But then you can share that with everybody, the architect, the builder, the customer, anyone. There's a lot of apps out there, but I think they're more aimed at maintenance side of things.
It sounds like that's a project management tool then that you're looking for. Francis, have you got any input on that angle?
Oh, well, there's a lot out there. You know, it's sort of like the CRMs. Which is the best project management tool? The one that you use. You know, okay, I can tell you a few to look at. Trello, I use in my business. I use a lot of Trello. It's sort of have pipeline style, task based, and you can share it with your engineers, and you can hook it up to Zapier and do automations with your ServiceMate or your Lead Hero marketing system. There's one that I like is called Basecamp, one of my favorites. It's a bit on the pricey side. It's $100 a month, but I really love it because it's just great for tracking conversations. Asana is another one, Asana for project management. But you could just type into Google project management tools and I'm sure you've got them. But for job specific ones, I think, you know, things like ServiceMate and Commusoft might do more of a
tried getting onto ServiceMate, and I tried ServiceMate and T-Sheets, and both of them to integrate them with QuickBooks was a ball ache. And I spent a fair few hours on the phone to Canada trying to talk to someone and get it all set up, and it just took ages. And I was like, oh, this is a nonsense.
One bit of advice on that. When I went through a stage where I was, excuse my language, but it's the best way to describe it. I was a software slag. I was trying every bit out there, anything I could get my hands on, I was trying. And I basically sort of had come full circle and thought, I ain't fucking got anywhere. I still don't know what one to go for.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So then I decided, right, but the last tactic didn't work. You know, that strategy of just trying and hoping that a quick look at all of these things would highlight to me what it was, what would work. So I basically then made a decision that I was going to give myself 3 months. ServiceMate had picked the pile at that point. So I said to myself, right, I'm going to invest 3 months of time and money into it to get it working. And if at the end of that 3 months, I'm still not happy, then I'll just write it off and look for another one. But what I needed was time to physically implement it. So the first few weeks, I literally just looked at it. I just sort of played around. I went through the tutorials. I was patient. And then the next month, I actually started to put a few jobs on. So someone in your position that's got a few guys out there, you could put 2 of them on the system, for example, for a month after your first month of teething out some problems. And basically, rather than want to wake up tomorrow and it to be a working system that solves every problem, buy yourself a window of opportunity to mature into it. Does that make sense? So it's
yeah. But would you say that ServiceMate lends itself more to the maintenance jobbing guy, or does it apply to site work as well?
So I've never been on a site work. I've never ran a site work business. So the knowing the intricacies of what's involved on a day-to-day level, I can't really answer that. But I would, from what I know about ServiceMate and what limitations I can see with the software, is it is more of a, if you've got a job that's more than a couple of days worth of work, I don't know. I don't think it would be the answer personally.
Yeah, so that's the feeling that I'm getting. I think it's great because you can book in like recalls and annual servicing, and like you can get your fluid income from that and your commissionings and stuff. So I think, yeah, that's fantastic. But I've only got 2 guys that do that kind of work, and they're managing it. And one of them's my old boss, so I'm happy they're managing that, and that's cool. It's the site for me. Site work is where there's more money, really, but also.
So when you say site work, just to understand a little bit more, are you on about like having 5 lads that are on private builders jobs, or are these like big building in like Barratt Home styly sites that we're
so I could be doing a block of 10 flats, or then we could be doing one big mansion. So we're based in Jersey, so there's a lot of wealthy people here that are in the finance world, and they come over what we call a 1-1K. And they're buying houses for like 5 million. It's insane. Okay. The house prices over here is mental. But it's a tax haven to a degree. So you get a lot of them coming over here. They buy depleted properties, which the locals or the family that had it previously couldn't look after. So it generates a lot of work for our industry, you know, so it's good. So we've come out of lockdown pretty quiet, and it's just, the curve's just gone straight up. See you later. And it's great. It's great. But now I want to be saying, right, let's really manage this well.
Yeah.
So we always paper trail for years. Everything was done paper trail. I had 2 girls that worked in the office, and they pretty much spent their weeks typing up invoices. And I was 3 months behind on invoicing all the time. So I scrapped that. I said, well, we've got to price jobs now. End of story. We have to price them. Otherwise, we're always going to be 3 months behind and have crap cash flow. So now we're current. We have good cash flow. Everything's priced. So it's great. You know, you price your job right. I asked for people 30% up front. If they don't want to give us 30% up front, then screw them, we're not starting the job. There's no trust there. Move on to the next customer. So all that's kind of ironed out bad people, and it's good. And it's easy then. You get another 30% in, you ask for another 30%. It's just one email. Please, can I have 30% more? Easy. No paper trail.
Yeah.
So now I've moved one of the girls on. She doesn't work for us anymore. You know, that was fine. That was amicable. So we're a bit leaner now in the business, but I want to take it the next step and manage it. So if we're on a big house and there's X amount of bathrooms or whatever, we can say we're up to this stage, constantly getting let down by sanitary ware suppliers. It's not through any fault of our own, it's the customers that are bringing it in. And I want to be able to have a little note on this checklist and say, we have not completed this because of da-da-da-da-da, nothing to do with us. And they can see that. That's the quality control. I've read that traction book now, and that was really good, really good. That we're gonna put that in place. It's gonna take a year, I reckon, probably, but I think it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah. So with regards to the actual software, like I said, I'm not really in a position to sort of advise which one will be the best, but the way to implement it, I definitely think you've got to commit to something, because if you don't commit to something, you're committing to nothing. So you're not, back to the point where I made earlier, that by doing nothing, you're making a decision in itself to not grow and not get up to the 21st century. So I would spend some thinking time, but not too much now, because it sounds like you've been thinking about this for quite a while. So try to hone in on try and narrow the list down for starters, then jump into one and give yourself a window of time that you're willing to waste if it doesn't work out. Does that make sense? Because at least then you've got a concrete answer. If you're just trying things for a week, 2 weeks, and then giving up, it's like going to the gym for 2 weeks and expecting a six-pack, isn't it? It's not going to happen
as well.
without a longer term commitment. So I hope that sort of gives you some sort of direction to go forward with.
The things that you mentioned before, the project management software, could you put them into the thread, please, so I can search them?
Francis, is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, thanks, Francis.
I think Bex has put some bits in as well. I can't read and talk and look at the camera. Sorry, I can't do it.
I was wondering if I could quickly jump in on that one. So Thomas, you're saying about with the project management and all the different integrations. I love a process. I like building processes. I like the fact that with a process, I could die tomorrow and someone could take over exactly what it is I'm doing. Yeah. The biggest piece of advice that I could do, because I'm in the same position, so the job that I'm doing, I want the reporting function of Xero. I want the time tracking software of Toggle. I want the tasking of Asana, and I want to be able to write a 3-page essay about how much I love this person and that their favorite chocolate bar is a Whisper of OneNote. And in my industry, there isn't that one piece of software that does everything that I need it to do. So things like Toggle, you can time track. Asana is great because you can add people into your team, which means you could add a customer, you could add your architect. And then if you're sending your guys out on those particular jobs, they can use Toggle to click on it and it will time it so that you could have real-time timing, which then could lead to your invoicing, because it will then go into things like Xero, QuickBooks. And there's a cracking piece of software called Zapier, which can set up lovely little tracks that all they got to do is press a button and it will do crazy stuff behind the scenes and create an invoice for your customer ready to go. The first thing to do is to spend a little bit of time sitting down on a piece of paper. Is like, what do I want my software to do? Commusoft can sometimes be too big. Commusoft is really good, a bit pricey, but it does pretty much everything that you've asked of a piece of software. You can add your engineers, you can do much more stuff in terms of marketing towards your customers. And ServiceMate is, again, really cool. I don't have it for site work, but a couple of the guys that I work with who do use it, they do bigger jobs, but it can be a little bit clunky on that guard because you've got too many people going into it. But you could potentially build something relatively simple with free software that's available. So
that's good. But I've done this now for 8 years. I've got a family. I'd like to be able to go on holiday, like you say, and have a process. And there you go, lads, follow that step by step, and I'll see you in 10 days. And it's fine, and everything's in there and everyone can see, instead of being constantly contacted and you're getting bothered for. Sometimes it's just simple stuff, and it can just be implemented some way, and you can just have one template. Even things like bathroom designs, you know, where's the basin going? Oh, it's there. If you click on that tab, it's almost like Dropbox, I suppose, but that, again, that's a bit too much. It should be much more simple. So it's interesting. But again, the things that you've mentioned this evening, I've Googled many different things and looked in app stores and stuff, and they never pop up. But they've all got these random names, and they don't seem to come up under the actual category that they're in, you know. So so no, I appreciate that. But if you, I might have to ask you for some help then.
Thomas, I would also say that in reality, the thing is that there isn't really a one-size-fits-all software solution. And the reason for that is every business is different. And the way you work, your processes are different. And that's why you need to sort of really perhaps get a good grasp on what's your goal with these systems. What do you want that project management to do? Is it about managing communication, or is it managing tasks? Is it managing timelines or projects? So to really get clear on what you need things to do, and I'm sure you can reach out to Bex or myself or even Wayne, you know, if you sort of do your work in terms of what your goals are, and one of us can steer you in the right direction.
That sounds good. Thanks very much. And best of luck to Nathan as well.
Nathan, we're rooting for you. I know it's a tough time right now, and you've been, it's a lot, man. So I'm really happy that you came on the call, and you know, it's great if these calls can be also a sounding board for everybody, because we're all in the middle of a global pandemic together. It's affecting everybody's business as well. And so we're here to facilitate this, but we also learn from each other, right?
Yeah,
Definitely.
And as I say, I mean, I'm not downhearted or everything. Lockdown's coming again, or in our area. I know there's kind of like Manchester, Liverpool. They've been sent down. So I need to focus my mind. Like I've said, I've been a one-man band 20 years, and I don't want to do it anymore. Not actually the plumbing or the heating side. It's looking at that final, that 5-10 year goal of there. Now, if in 5 years I can say to myself, right, I've got 3-4 maybe engineers, going back to what Wayne was saying last week about concentrating on one side, which I have been doing. So it's that 5-year process, that end goal for me, not walking away from the plumbing and heating, but having those engineers. And just going back to kind of like when you are, I might be jumping too far ahead of taking people on. One of the scariest things is that when I started my apprenticeship, my boss told me at that point, when you finished a job, look at your job. And if you walked into your house and somebody else would do that job, would you look at it and go, wow, that is good? And that's a process that I've always thought. My scary thing is, and I might be jumping the gun here, is that when it comes to reaching out, as in expanding and looking at and employing people, how do you then get the people in who are going to work to the standard that you work at?
So that point there, right, is such a common roadblock, and there's no easy answer to it apart from, are you ever going to fucking know unless you try?
Well, yeah.
You've got to put them on probation, though. Put them on probation. If you've got any worries.
Yeah, I agreed, Thomas. That obviously there's fundamental stuff that you should be doing. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
In essence, what it sounds to me like that is an excuse not to do it. Does that make sense? Subconsciously, you're telling yourself, I won't find someone that
No.
can do it to the level I want to do it.
Put up images of your best jobs when you're advertising for potential employees, and say, looking for someone that can achieve this standard of work. If you think you can and you're happy to come and work for me, then the people, you might get one applicant, but at least you got one that's actually looked at it properly. If you just say, I want a plumber, you're going to get anything.
That's a great idea, Thomas. I like that, because you're basically saying, if you can't do that, don't bother wasting each other's
Simple
time.
as.
Yeah.
Like
Make everyone self-employed.
Just going on with that, I don't think it's an excuse, but it's a question. It's a question in my own head. It's not, well, I'm never going to employ anybody. It's fair. It's fine, and thank you for the other comment. It's just for, this might be a little bit of a selfishness and I don't want to put it out there because I was told that, and I do look at my jobs and I do say, right, and it has to be perfect, it has to be right. And it is then bringing into it about, how do I find those people? Because going back to the curse of the sole trader that was mentioned, because I know what I do is right, and if it's not right, I know they come to me and I will fix it. Or if there's a problem or something's not quite right, it's there, and that is my responsibility. That's the sole trader curse, when sometimes you're working from 7 o'clock until 10 o'clock at night and everything, and coming home and your tools are just thrown in the van. But it's that process then of being able to reach out, as in, first of all, the work-wise, because you've got to have the work there that's coming in to be able to then employ the people. And
see, if you employ the people when you have the work, it's the wrong way round. You need to make the plans to get the people, because if you employ when you're busy and you have too much work, you end up taking anybody, and then your fears of having a shit guy are going to come to fruition. So what I would say, if I was going to start employing people now, first thing I would be doing is making a little pot of money to one side to give me some time that when I do take them on, I'm not desperate. I'm not desperate to find the work, because it lets me train them. It lets me teach them my processes. It lets me check them. Do you know, I don't want them going out doing 20 boiler services if after the first 5, they've left a test nipple out and flooded someone's thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like, whereas if you employ someone now in the heating industry, there's a very good chance it will go wrong, because you haven't had the time. If you do heating, you're all busy this time of year, and you haven't got the time to focus on onboarding a staff member properly. Do you know, if you want to do it properly, it takes time, and it takes checks. It takes money, because you can't be expecting them to hit the ground running in the first couple of weeks, maybe even the first month.
The time of year for a trainee, because it gives you a runner. You get someone that's on, I've never given someone trainee wage because I'm too soft, but the Jersey's a different industry. But if you can get someone on a trainee wage, and you are, because like you said, when you're running around and you're busy and you're firefighting, and I started out jobbing and I did a lot of heating work, and I loved it, because when you leave someone's house and you're giving them heating and hot water, it's a great feeling. But like Nathan said, you're finishing at 10, 12 o'clock at night, and you're throwing all your tools in the back of the van, and it's just like a massive game of Kaplunk the next morning to get it all out. It isn't fun. But if you've got someone with you that sees your struggles and it understands where things go back in the van, go and get that from the van for me. Sam gets it and it goes back in. Eventually, they learn how you want things. It might take you 18 months, 2 years until they can actually really be trusted, but at least they know what you want to be done. So that's 2 years. He said he's got a 5-year plan, maybe. Well, that's the first 2 years. At least he's trained someone how he wants it to be done.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're looking from a trainee perspective, that makes sense, is to bed them in to your way of doing it. Have you ever had an apprentice?
Me or Nathan?
Do we?
Nathan, sorry.
No, sorry. You kind of like when it seized up, or it did on my computer. It went blank a little bit.
Sorry.
Do we know at the moment? I haven't looked into this, and it might be something that's worthwhile looking into. Kind of like, I know there's been different things put in the Chancellor over the last 6 months regarding training. Do we know anything that's specific actually about apprenticeships or money available? Or is that something we can...
Bex seems to have an answer there.
Government has actually just recently started a new scheme called the Kickstart Scheme. So it's specifically for people who are 16 to 24 who are on universal credit. So obviously for people like me, I wouldn't be able to use it, but they're looking for people to take, say, like 30 employees, and I will touch on that again in just 2 seconds. And then they can effectively give you an employees. And these are young people who may already be qualified in things like plumbing and heating or any job imaginable, digital marketing, you name it. What the government basically does is pays you as the employer to take this young person on. They pay the young person's salary, and for one-man band like ourselves, if I wanted to take on somebody within that bracket, there are agencies out there who will apply for 30 people on behalf of Joe Blogs, me, Carolina, or Wayne, and they can take somewhere between, say, 10 to 15% of the little bit of money that you get. So that's one of the ways to go. With the apprenticeships, really, you just need to be on at your local colleges. Any local college to say, hey, I'm ready to take on an apprentice. Do you have anybody? Because you get all of the support to be able to take one of them on. And actually, apprentices are crying out for mentors. They're crying out for people, particularly at this time of year, to teach them a trade that they're going to have for the rest of their life. But I know of one particular company that does do the Kickstart agency, and I can get some details. But yeah, that's definitely something to look out for, because they just launched that, and there's a whole pot of young impressionable kids basically that need that start in life, and you probably could be perfect for it.
Thank you. It's something I'll look into.
Yeah, and there's a lot of money sloshing about to give people opportunities at the moment. So these opportunities to leverage some of that risk away from you won't be there in a year, 2 years time. So possibly, acting when I think it's Warren Buffett, isn't it? When the world's fearful, be greedy, and when the world's greedy, be fearful. So sometimes you have to take a few risks when everyone else is a bit worried about what's going on to maximize that. So definitely worth exploring. Take a couple of hours out over the next couple of weeks and try and find out the very specifics of what you might be entitled to give somebody that comes on board, and you could start moving that 3 or 5 year plan and start taking a step forward from back to what Thomas said about training someone up to the level that you want them to be.
Yeah.
Cool. That worked really well for me with 2 lads. I got one lad who worked for one firm for like 2 years, and he was basically just employed as the driver because the plumber got caught drink driving or something. So he just drove him around, did nothing. And then someone just said to me one day, look, Tom, this lad's a good lad. Will you give him a chance? And I thought, he's not really doing any work. That's a bit. But he got recommended to me by a really good electrician that I know. So I thought, well, he's not going to say it for no reason. So I took him on. One of the best things I ever did. Smashing lad. Really good attention to detail. He just needed someone to give him a go. It's not going to happen for everybody, but if they're keen to move, at the end of the day, there's a lot of kids that would have been happy driving around the van, just taking someone from site to site and getting a wage that would have been good enough for him, and he wasn't. So there's telltale signs for some that want to learn, but set them goals, give them their own jobs, and you've got to take a bit of a leap to take them on. And then when you've taken them on, you've got to take the leap to give them a job and entrust them with it. Otherwise they'll never get any better.
You see, there's one lad I know, and I've worked with him. I did some subcontracting last year, and I've kept in contact with him, and he's an absolute brilliant engineer, and he hates the company he's working for. He's kind of like, he's got that security, he's got his wage coming in, he's not married, but he's just bought a house and everything, so he's staying with this company. And And I keep thinking to myself, I'd love to be able to offer him a job, but I'm not in that stage yet. But because I've worked with him before, I do know what his standard is. So that comes back to then, well, if you're not going to do that, then, like has been said, if I can get something around, whether it's for Kickstart for college, to be able to have somebody about 17, 8-year-old who, you know, who is impressionable, but you can put that, you can influence them in the way that you work and your standard of work to be able to do the
Well, I tell you what, Nathan. What about? Obviously, I'm doing these every Wednesday from now on, right? The commitment that I'm making. How about you come back next week and feed back what you've learned, what is available, so you can share that with the rest of us guys next week, and it will be helping yourself in understanding what's out there and that. Is that all right?
Yeah. No, that sounds good.
Yeah. Good man. Lovely.
That's awesome.
Good.
So,
Has
guys,
anyone else got any final thoughts before we wrap up? Because I'm getting very tired. I won't lie.
I need another wine.
I need another water.
we haven't really heard from Stephen. It's been a little bit quiet.
Yeah, the
guys.
silent
Today,
assassin
but,
in the corner.
Join us next week, and we'll put you in the hot seat a little bit and have a chat about what you've got going on.
Perfect.
And yeah, I thought this was like super, super valuable. I learned a lot. I hope everyone got snippets out of it. There's been some really interesting gems. And like I said, like we're pooling our forces together to really not just have a chit chat, but provide some value. So I guess.
Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll hope to see you again. Please do engage in the Facebook group. Tell people to join up. And if you can share what we're doing, really, really appreciate your time.
Cool. Have a good evening, everyone.
Okay.
And
Thanks, guys.
make
Thank you, everybody.
sure you keep an eye out. I've got some great podcast episodes coming out over the next couple of weeks. Haven't I, Bex? So
I'm nervous.
I've got a long list. I've got loads getting recorded over this week and next week. So yeah, and we'll see you all next week. Because like I say, I'm doing this every week, even if I'm sitting here on my own talking to the camera. I'm sure Francis will still be there, but yeah. And like I say, ask any questions. If there's anything pressing, message us so we can get it talked about in the next session. So we're constantly getting out what you guys want to talk about, because it's about everybody. So have a good night, and I will see you all soon.
See you later.
Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Good night.
guys.
Thank you, everybody.